Racist cop shaves black woman's head in court without knowing she's the judge. The courtroom was packed, buzzing with anticipation. This wasn't just any case. It was one of the most controversial trials the small southern town had seen in years. A young black woman named Anita Hayes had been wrongfully arrested for loitering outside her own apartment building by Officer Derek Coleman, a police officer notorious for his overreach and racially charged actions. Anita, a law graduate, had been dressed in casual attire that night and had no identification on her, which Derek used as justification to haul her into custody. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop a comment below and please like the video. Thank you. What had really ignited outrage was what happened during her detainment. Anita's natural hair, styled in an intricate afro, had drawn sarcastic comments from Derek. When she demanded an explanation for her arrest, Derek allegedly responded, "You want to act out? Fine. Let's see how you look when you're not hiding behind that hair." Then, in a shocking and humiliating display, he used a dull shaving stick to hack away at her hair in front of other officers, who stood by laughing or looking uncomfortable but silent. The incident went viral after Anita filed a formal complaint, with photos of her unevenly shaved head flooding social media. Activists, civil rights groups, and even celebrities rallied behind her, demanding justice. Derek, however, remained defiant, denying wrongdoing and claiming she had resisted arrest. But his confidence faltered when Anita announced she would represent herself in court against his actions. The trial day arrived, and Derek walked in with the same air of arrogance that had defined his career. His lawyer, a slick defense attorney known for defending questionable clients, patted him on the back. Derek's smirk widened when he saw Anita walk in, not in the typical attorney's suit, but in simple attire. She didn't look like a lawyer to him, and certainly not someone who could win against him. What Derek didn't know was that Anita was more than just a lawyer. She was a judge, a newly appointed federal judge whose swearing-in ceremony was scheduled for the following month. She had chosen not to reveal her status, wanting to handle the matter as any ordinary citizen would, but she had made a promise to herself. Derek would learn the full extent of his mistake. The proceedings began, and Anita's confidence was evident from the start. She meticulously outlined Derek's pattern of misconduct, citing previous complaints against him, and called witnesses who testified to his behavior on the night of her arrest. The courtroom grew tense as details emerged: Derek's taunts, his condescending remarks, and his blatant abuse of power. Then came the turning point. Anita stood and addressed the court, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "This isn't just about me. This is about the countless others who've been humiliated, mistreated, and stripped of their dignity by those who swore to protect them. Officer Coleman didn't just strip away my hair. He tried to strip away my identity, my confidence, and my humanity. But I'm here today to say that I am not broken, and I will not let this slide." The courtroom fell silent, her words hanging heavily in the air. Derek's lawyer attempted to dismiss her speech as emotional theatrics, but the damage had been done. Even the judge presiding over the case looked moved. When it was Derek's turn to testify, his arrogance finally cracked. Anita's cross-examination was brutal, yet precise. She asked pointed questions that exposed inconsistencies in his story. "You claimed I was loitering. Where's the footage from the apartment's surveillance cameras?" she asked, knowing full well the footage showed her entering her own building. Derek stammered, It wasn't working that night." "Convenient," Anita replied, her tone icy. "And what about the claim that I resisted? Where are the records of any struggle? Did I fight back when you dragged me to the station?" Derek shifted uncomfortably, muttering something about non-compliance. Anita pressed on, her voice rising. "Non-compliance? Or did you simply dislike the fact that I questioned your authority? Did you feel threatened by a black woman standing up for herself?" By the end of her questioning, Derek was visibly sweating. His lawyer tried to object several times, but Anita had anticipated every move. She was relentless, ensuring that Derek's actions were laid bare for everyone to see. As the trial drew to a close, Anita made a final statement. "Your Honor, justice isn't just about punishment, it's about accountability. Officer Coleman's actions reflect a system that too often allows people like him to act with impunity. This isn't just about me. It's about making sure no one else has to endure what I did. The judge ruled swiftly, finding Derek guilty of misconduct and recommending his immediate suspension pending further investigation. But the real bombshell came after the trial. As reporters swarmed Anita outside the courthouse, she took a moment to address the crowd. "I have something else to share," she began, her voice calm but commanding. "I am not just a victim in this case. I am a federal judge, appointed to serve this community with fairness and integrity. And I promise you, from this position, I will fight to ensure that no one, no matter their background, race, or status, faces the kind of humiliation and injustice I did." The crowd erupted into cheers as Derek, standing off to the side, looked as if the ground had been pulled out from under him. His smirk was long gone, replaced with a look of utter disbelief. He had thought he was untouchable, but now his career and reputation lay in ruins. Anita's courage and brilliance became a national story, inspiring others to stand up against injustice. Her appointment as a federal judge was met with widespread celebration, and she used her platform to advocate for reform within law enforcement and the justice system. As for Derek, he was fired from the force and faced civil lawsuits from other victims who had come forward after Anita's case. The fallout for Derek Coleman began almost immediately after the verdict. The judge who presided over the trial didn't just recommend suspension, he formally referred Derek's case to the district attorney's office for a criminal investigation into abuse of power, assault, and misconduct. It was a decision that sent shockwaves through the police department, as such public accountability for officers was rare. The very next morning, the police chief held a press conference. "Officer Coleman's behavior does not represent the values of our department," he said, though many community members knew that Coleman's behavior had been an open secret for years. To show some semblance of responsibility, the department announced an internal review and promised sweeping reforms, though few trusted their sincerity. Meanwhile, Anita Hayes wasn't done. Her victory in court had galvanized the public, and she knew this was an opportunity to push for broader change. She worked with civil rights groups to draft proposals for independent oversight of police misconduct cases, as well as stricter protocols for officer accountability. Her voice carried weight now, not just as a victim, but as a federal judge whose sharp legal mind and unshakable courage had won over a nation. As Derek's criminal case progressed, more of his past abuses came to light. Anita's trial had emboldened other victims to come forward. A black teenager testified that Derek had falsely accused him of stealing a bike and detained him for hours without cause. A Latina woman revealed that Derek had issued her a bogus ticket for loitering when she was waiting outside a grocery store for her child. The pattern was clear. Derek had used his badge as a weapon of intimidation and discrimination for years. When Derek was called to testify during his criminal trial, his arrogance had evaporated. He no longer smirked or shrugged off accusations. He now sat hunched over, his lawyer whispering furiously in his ear as prosecutors tore through his excuses. Derek claimed that his actions against Anita were a misjudgment and not racially motivated, but the evidence spoke otherwise. The prosecution presented damning video footage. Body cam recordings showing Derek laughing with his colleagues as he shaved Anita's hair, making crude remarks about her appearance. The jury visibly recoiled when the video was played in court. It was the nail in Derek's coffin. The trial ended with a guilty verdict. Derek was sentenced to 5 years in prison for assault and abuse of power, with an additional 3 years on probation. The judge made it clear in his ruling that Derek's actions had not only violated Anita's rights, but had also eroded public trust in law enforcement. "You wielded your authority with cruelty and disregard for the people you swore to serve," the judge said. "This court will not tolerate such abuse."